when I came
Put it on the list.
to VCU, um, that record was like making the rounds big time. Like Sean Moran, everybody was talking about it. I mean, Kenny Barron is a great character to check out back catalog of because he's just. I mean, people who know who he is know he's great, but he made a lot of records and played with everybody, and he's just like the modern. I don't know how to say it, but it's just like all of the thing that sounded like right modern jazz. Kenny Barron had his fingers in. But that's a great record, and it's live. It's a double record, and it's I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what club it's live at, but it's a really cool one.
Jazzis Montmartre.
Oh,
Mont,
it's a festival.
Montmartre. Let's see. Yeah, looks like it. Copenhagen.
Cool. Well, there you go.
Yeah, Stablemates. That's another one I've been meaning to look at, aka talk about.
Dearth calls that tune all the time, and Dearth's funny because there's as amazing as John is, he's sort of like Miles. He calls a limited amount of standards. Do you know what I mean? I guess we all do, but
Sure.
it always surprised me that that one was in there because the other ones he calls are really welcoming tunes. Easy, softly as in a morning sunrise. Alone together, but that comes up a lot, and it's a crooked form, right? It's like 10 bar
That's why I've always wanted to
amplification.
check it out because I remember
Yeah,
something being weird about it.
it makes perfect sense. I mean, it's a Benny Golson tune. There's once you know how to play it, it's really not that hard. But you can't just play it by ear because it's moving all over the place.
Mhm.
Cool. Sail away. What do you want to know?
Well, first of all, I noticed, and this is back to our favorite topic of diminished.
Right.
Something that we keep mentioning that I mean, I know what it is. We never really dove into it too much, but it's the tonic diminished thing. Doesn't that happen right there at the fifth bar? Is that what that's supposed to
That's
be?
not the tonic diminished.
Ah,
That's the Bach. That's the like five chord sound with the one pedal Bach thing.
maybe I
Like
have it
dig it. You
wrong.
see how the G7 sus flat 9 is in the measure before?
Yeah.
Imagine that chord resolving to a G7 flat 9 but with one in the bass.
Yeah, that whole Ave Maria thing, right?
Yes, and also uh man, our lessons should be like a book. We should like transcribe our lessons because there's so much good stuff. You ask such good questions and touch on things repeatedly. Like there's some good content here, but it's like the "you must believe in spring" thing, where
Yeah.
there's still a five chord, right? It's like this one,
Hmm.
right?
We went
You
over
hear
that.
all of this stuff that sounds like a five diminished.
Still on the whiteboard.
Nice.
Last time
It's
we
like
went over this. Yeah.
that sound, right?
Yeah.
And I think of this as a triple suspension in many ways, meaning look how that resolves, right? This four goes down, seven goes up, six goes down. And what's so clever about that tune, right, is
Right.
when it does resolve, the bass moves. It goes, uh,
Oh, to the seven.
yeah, and then
Uh-huh.
uh, on the F chord,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Six.
And I resolve it to six because the major seventh is actually an unstable tone. That sounds beautiful, but it doesn't do that triple suspension thing.
Right.
So that's a long-winded explanation for saying in this tune, I'm gonna have to get my glasses in a second.
Are you on by the way, do you do this view much with three people? If you're on side by side
Yeah.
gallery, that view, there's a little white line in between the split screen.
Yep.
You can slide it back and forth to
Oh, to
make,
make it bigger?
yeah, and one side bigger than the other.
Unfortunately, my eyes are.
So you can make the sheet music like one huge screen if you wanted by dragging that little white line all the way across.
Well, I think it's all the way across.
Okay.
um,
Actually, I can do this.
let me just get my glasses. Save time.
I can make it landscape too. Makes it bigger.
Oh, nice. Excuse me.
Yeah. So I was
Uh,
just noticing I was
yeah.
playing it like this because it's a G. Well, the first chord G7 sus flat 9, but the sus makes it not this.
Yeah, I mean, I always think about this chord a couple of ways. One of it would be that's really a D half diminished. It's a two chord D half diminished chord with five in the bass,
Cool. Yeah.
right? Like, you know how this is like the F with a G in the bass is like
That'd be a D minor 7 flat 5 with the flat 9. Yeah.
right. So if this is a two chord with five in the bass, the gospel sus, right, the soft five. If you do it for a minor key,
Mm-hmm.
it's F minor with G in the
Minor
bass,
G.
and of course, D minor 7 flat 5 is really F minor with. So like dig that for a second.
Yeah.
Right, 4-5-1 and 2-5-1 are really just a matter of bass notes,
Yep.
right?
I love that concept.
Oh, it's beautiful, and it really is a wonderful pop, classical, jazz music kind of neutral style. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you go even a little bit further with that, um, and that helps with voicings. You know what I'm saying? Like the Mick Goodrick thing, like G7 sus flat 9 is a bear to find, but an F minor triad with a G in the bass is easy. A D half diminished chord with G in the bass is much easier. There's so many different ways. Like there's F
Mm-hmm.
minor in the D shape. Put a G in the bass here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good too. And then all of them can resolve to C. You know, so the G7 sus flat 9 can be thought of as a two chord, minor 7 flat 5 with 5 in the bass, or a four chord F minor with a 5 in the bass. And
Yep.
then the F diminished over C is the right way to put it. I really like this. This is probably the most expressive of them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pick one of the chord tones to not have. You know what I'm saying? This is a little bit hard
What I was trying to do.
to grab. This one, the A flat, is nice. You know, like that one actually is really good too because the A flat's super expressive. Um,
So what is that? F A flat C?
yeah, like
Like an F triad.
this would be A flat D.
Oh D.
This would be B D F.
A flat D F. Yeah.
Yeah, you can mess around with them up here too, right? B, this is essentially B diminished with C in the bass versus A flat. This is a nice one actually.
Oops. Need an F though, right?
Yeah,
Gotta do that. I like your
I've got A
R
flat
angles.
D F with a C.
A. Oh, I'm on B, so A flat.
Yeah, either of them work. You know,
Right.
ideally, you on piano you could get all four of them. On guitar, it you could probably figure out a way to get all four, but it sounds fine. You just have to decide what's the color that you want,
Nice little
and
suspension type sound too.
that's what it is. That's all it really is. But that you see, it's not tonic diminished because tonic diminished would be a whole other diminished chord. That would be B.
Yeah, I wasn't even doing the math. I just saw C, and I thought, oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the tonic diminished. But yeah, that's not the right diminished chord. F diminished.
Yeah,
That's
I
what I'm
mean
thinking.
it's cool, man. This is a form of another thing that's exactly like the tonic diminished, but what it is it's a suspension
Hmm.
of the five set, or let's be more specific, seven diminished, right? Seven diminished or dominant seven flat nine. It's a five sound where the
Yeah.
bass is resolved to the tonic, where one would be. So he carries over the tension of the dominant seven flat nine, but resolves C in the bass. And I'd make a quick note in your chart. When I played this with Bob, he always went from the C halfway through the bar. He descended to B in the bass
Hmm.
to get to the A minor, and then that descension keeps going. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Maybe beat 3.
Yeah, you hear that like
Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, and then you got another one here. So the third way I'd think about that G7 sus is as A flat major 7 flat 5.
Yeah.
Anywhere you have an A flat major chord, if you flat the 5,
Uh-huh.
anywhere you have an A flat major 7th and flat the 5, and the bass player plays 5, that's a really great way to get a good voicing.
Nice.
And you notice you still have G in the chord, right? The major 7th of A flat is the root.
So you'd have to put it in there somewhere, like right
Yeah,
there.
this is more like a great substitution, and also shows you it gives you that modern chordal sound too. That's such an easy piano voicing, right? The A flat C D G
Mm-hmm.
is just a really nice left hand thing. And people, it's one of those grips, right? For melodic minor,
Mm-hmm.
you can put any note in the bass and get a different chord.
I've got C on top though, so you could still have
So,
that right major 7 5. So it's also that grip. Yeah.
yep, yep. And any voicing, that's the cool thing. It's like anywhere you want to play that chord, you know, you can find all these really cool ways of getting that sound.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Let me backtrack a little bit. The F diminished over C, um, since it is a C major sound, like see all those E naturals in the melody, like three,
Mm-hmm.
6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 5 of 5. I mean, it's extremely tonal in terms of C major.
Yeah.
I would hesitate to use a diminished scale there. I think that a more successful sound is that harmonic major for
Hmm.
C. Because if you play C harmonic major, you got all of the tensions of the F diminished with the E in it. But notice if you play that F diminished scale, there's no C in it.
Sorry, which scale?
F whole half
Ah.
diminished there. There's no
Oh.
C in that scale.
Yep.
And
Maybe.
so
Mhm.
um, I feel like whether they know it or not, you basically have a C major scale with an A flat.
Yeah. There's F A flat. You got the B. Yep. You got the D. Right.
Yep.
And what's the minor chord we'd be doing there? It would be F minor.
Say again.
I was going. Oh no, that's over G. Sorry.
Yep.
That whole thing we were doing.
Like you'd also not want to play over the A minor chord. You don't really want to play Dorian because it's in C. All of that shit.
Yeah, definitely. I think I remember loving this song for that reason. Like it was a cool melody, cool chords, and then I could just solo over C major. back in the
Yeah, I mean
day.
that's what the melody's showing us, you know.
Exactly.
And then this is essentially the same phrase, right? With
Yep.
some reharms.
Reharmonization. It's like a tritone sub going to D minor.
Yep.
Yeah. Then they've got the B flat. So you're doing this thing again
Yep.
with G. G would be there though.
Yeah, so
B flat. What was that when you did up high? B flat
sorry,
7,
yeah.
sus flat
B
9.
flat 7, sus flat 9. Well, in many ways that chord is like an A flat minor major 7 with a B flat in the bass because it's got the 13 in the melody.
Did A flat minor major 7, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. So we're
I
not
would
thinking about it as that B.
We're thinking of it as if it were F half diminished with a natural 9. So it's the exact same chord as bar 4,
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
but it's it's moving us towards the key of E flat. So F minor is the 2 chord, and B flat sus flat 9. You could do that same
Right.
sound, but we want to get G in the melody. So anywhere. Here's a cool one. Like remember this B flat, A flat with B flat in the bass. So if you make
Minor.
the A flat minor. Now, if I do this, that's a fine voicing. It's a little hard to grab. A flat minor major 7 with a B flat in the bass. So I in in my world of doing this, when I play the F minor 11 before it, one of my new favorite ones, which goes with what we've been talking about, is like if this is F minor here, you see the A flat major triad.
Right.
So if I put the A flat major triad on these strings, skip the B string and play B flat,
Wow.
right?
Kind
Now
of like
watch
a
what happens with the
conversion.
voice leading when I move. This is E flat, A flat, C flat, G.
Minor.
And that's easier to play. I basically took this voicing, the close voicing of A flat minor with a major 7th, and moved the E flat down an octave. But it's particularly cool just to sort of see how this chord, which is F minor 11th or B flat sus,
Skipping the B string.
moves to that. Like for example, this is another great voicing, right? Is if I resolve the sus, this is a B flat flat 9 with a 13.
Right.
It's the same chord as this guy when you do a D diminished and bar it and get the G on top.
Right.
That's a more familiar shape. This guy,
Uh-huh.
but it's particularly cool because you can see the sus move down. There's
I
a
like
lot of
that's
meat on this, this 2/5, right? If this is an F minor shape and this is a B flat dominant 9 shape voice leading, you've got 2 strings on top of that to play any melody note you want. And as you parse what's going on there,
yeah.
F minor 7th to B flat dominant 9, F minor 7th to B flat 7 flat 9,
Nice.
F minor 7th to B flat 7 sharp 9. That's the Lenny chord.
See this?
Yep. And so, or even F dominant 7th, or F major 7th. You know what I mean?
Sure,
Like
sure.
all of those things can start being parsed. And what you do is you combine. I almost always start with the same note, right? So like if it were F on the B string, and then I went to B flat 7 flat 9 sus. Yeah, so it's like da 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 you know, that kind of a thing. Or what's that from some standard Under My Skin, right? I've got you under my skin.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right. So, but if I do this or or right,
Mhm.
or in this case, like getting the G.
Then what was this one? I love this one with the G.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's just
Mm,
really gorgeous.
really nice.
And can you see how this sound is really an inversion of an F half diminished, right? So B flat sus flat 9 is really F half diminished with 5 in the bass in the same way that G7 sus flat 9 was D half diminished. It's a 2 chord
Yeah.
with
The
5 in the
notes,
bass.
the notes are there. What's getting me off is the fact that the flat seven would be in the bass. But I love that. Flats or F minor seven, it's the flat seven in the bass. F7, it's the flat seven in the bass. F minor seven flat five, it's the flat seven in the bass.
That's right. You get your
So
guide
it's kind of
tones. Your
thing
guide
like
tones
this.
really want to be on those strings, right?
Right.
And fourth string really wants guide tones, and all this slash chord stuff is cool if it were a solo arrangement, but if you're playing with a bass player, you don't want to be thinking about it anyway. So,
Right.
like trying to get that over A flat motion going down to G is cool, but not as cool as if somebody else were doing it.
I love this F7 going to B flat seven flat nine.
Yeah,
Just moving that down. That's a great move.
it's the best. And we've been doing it for decades when it's on the B string.
Maybe that's why I recognize it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? F minor seventh
To
here.
B flat seven flat nine. Yeah. Okay.
That's right.
Sure.
Um, and then also here, right? When we do this one,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's these homonyms are really interesting to check out. Like we play this shape so much, but this is the exact same shape.
Yep.
We don't
String
play that
down.
one as much, you know.
Right. That's an A flat triad. A flat triad. And
Exactly.
then
But this this
diminished.
this dominant 7 sharp 9 voicing, most guitarists will play that like this.
F7 sharp nine.
Like no B flat, like F minor 7th to B
Oh,
flat
yeah,
7
yeah.
sharp 9.
Right.
This voicing for it, most people will play like the Joe Pass thing.
Sure.
But in this position, they don't play. It's like it's interesting habit wise, right? We're really prone to play this in this position and
Mm-hmm.
this or this in this position,
Mm-hmm.
whereas like you can learn how to do the same thing in every position. It's just less familiar shapes.
And then that would be that in that position.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or E flat. Yeah. 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 That's nice. And again, this separation, I think, is what I'm hearing when we do this. That's what I love. That separation. That makes it
Yep.
different than this,
Yep.
for
And
sure.
you have the fact that you have two strings to put a melody on, right? I mean, there's almost an entire octave of
Octave.
melody possibilities.
Yeah, that's true.
And you can double all day long.
Gotta keep
You know what I mean?
changing your fingers a little bit, I guess, with the guide tones. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
hey, so question about that though, doing that. At the beginning, I have a tendency to want to just do my typical little E diminished for A7 altered, and I was trying to get these. They just didn't sound quite right to me. So if I'm going here and I'm trying to keep the G in the melody, and maybe I try that won't work, I guess, because the
Can
13.
you can you can I see you bigger? Can you stop sharing for just a
Yeah.
quick second so I can see this? And also, do you have your original sound for musicians on? I feel like your guitar is getting
Oh,
gated.
you can turn that on. I don't know why you can't just turn it on and leave it on.
I know it should be maybe there's a settings, but
I've looked for it, but it's a setting to have the thing up there, and then you have to keep clicking it.
right.
Anyway, and it might be a little loud.
You're talking about the second chord.
Yeah, it's just again, I'm always trying to use those Lenny Bro voicings as much as I can just to get used to it. But every time I try to go for it, and it says altered in this case, so I was like, here's a place where I could do that sharp 9-1,
Yep.
or I could do the.
Well, so yeah, this is a stretch, but it's probably I'd be tempted to
Let's
do
do
it
it
that way
like this.
because if I play E minor seventh like this,
And
that
that's just a little bit of a
or
heavy
perhaps
sonority.
get it here.
I was doing that, yeah.
Um,
And then I tried the sharp 5, I guess.
and actually, John, the voice leading would be better if here's our E minor, the same one we just did with F minor as a G shape. And for guitar, we could give ourselves the open 6.
Open 6 string, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because this feels weird to play unless you play it with a bass player. But once this starts becoming a familiar minor 7 shape, and I maybe would see it from either this inversion, like the E minor triad here with the 7th in the bass, or perhaps from the C shape of E minor with the 7th down. Because we always need something really familiar to kind of get there.
Right, and then the 7s in the bass again. Yep.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just not good with 7 in the bass. I gotta get used to that.
And then here's a D minor.
G.
And then F minor,
How you getting that G just by skipping the string?
Yep.
And then that F minor. That's so much easier than whatever I was doing. But back to my point, I guess just hearing this, is that
That works for me.
It works for you. Just I'm not ready for that yet.
let's
Get
run
used to
through a
that
couple
sound.
other options. The other thing that's really good to play there is the tritone sub, like E flat major triad with A in the bass.
Major triad with A in the bass. Wow.
Yep.
And that is flat 5, flat 9.
Yeah, I might bar it and use my ring finger.
That's cool.
So
I actually like that sound.
Look at G with an open 6, with an open 5th.
That's great.
And that's very much Mick Goodrick, like thinking of things as like triads. The other one is this, right? The bar, the E flat here. And that's nice because if I had an E minor 9, and then
Contrary.
D minor.
Yeah. Wow.
Another one I might be prone to do is like A dominant 7, flat 13 here. If I take the bass away, I wind up with the guide tones in F, right? So just double the G. That's pretty handy voicing.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling spicy, you could also put the guide tones plus the flat 5. So here's A7 sharp 11. Yeah. This voice leading is amazing if I do a 4-note G major triad here with an open E. Oh, you want an E flat.
Oh, E flat. Yeah, I was like, wow. There you go. Yeah. Add 4 was what I did. That was weird.
Yeah.
Interesting though. It could be a Pat Metheny chord.
That's pretty rare.
Yeah, all of those. So much more of like what I would hear, but I guess when I'm reading these charts, like I do sometimes, where I'm trying to force myself into these bro voicings, I still can't get it sounding the way I want, and maybe I'm just not used to it yet. But You know, if I
Well,
tried it up,
it's one tune at a time. You know, this would be a great tune for it.
right. And that one kind of worked, but I had to do, I guess, G, C sharp, and then the F, which I guess is the same thing as you just
That's
did.
the exact same thing.
Yeah. Yep. So there, I've like reversed myself. Where I would have gone for something that I'm used to, and it would have been the same thing as something I was trying to force myself into. But
There's this thing I do with the JMU kids sometimes where it's like, you know, I have them do that. We did it a number of times with the guide tones in the bottom and the root on top. But like if you do circle of fifths and it's like G13, C9, you know
oh
this?
yeah, we did this. Yep.
There's the money.
G13, C9 with the
Yeah.
root though, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like finger it like no bars.
Mm,
Yep.
okay.
No bars.
Same thing.
And then F.
And then F. Right. And then what's after F? B flat.
Yeah, so again, G13, and what I'd look at the melody note, the top note as the root. G,
Right. C.
C. Yeah, but don't bar.
Right.
Because you want to teach your fingers to grab that shape as like a left-hand piano voicing.
Separate. We're going fourths, so this would be F. Yeah.
Yeah,
F.
circle. So G13, C9, F13, B flat 9.
B flat 9.
Yep.
And then E flat
13.
Yep.
Yep.
And then A flat. And then D flat. Let's see. For some reason, it's always the 7 for me. That gets me. And then.
Yeah, but you're training yourself to look at the lowest note as if it's the root. If you train yourself to look at the top note as if it's the root, you might find you understand it a little better.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's also a great example of that root being a cool melody note. Like we kind of like, I don't know about you, but you know, when I first started getting into jazz in like high school, I would never I would try to find every opportunity to not play the root at all, and certainly not in the melody, even if it was the melody. Right? Like G major 7th with G as the melody note is always this awkward sound because it clashes against the F sharp.
Right.
And it took me a while to realize in those cases, G6 sounds better. You know, it's like all these weird little things you kind of have to figure out on your own. But where I was going with this is that if you have this as all dominant, you can now take the G13 and make it a G minor 7th. This is the one we've just been doing. Yep. And then C7's the same.
Was that only one note moving?
No.
Because of the 13th.
It's the 13th too, yeah.
Right. So we're turning it into a minor 7 with the root. And then C9.
Yep, and then C9.
Gotcha.
So there's your 2-5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so maybe the next move might be doing this with either a flat 9 or a sharp 9. So G minor 7th with C7 flat 9.
Cool. I like that. And then F minor 7.
Yep.
And then.
Yep.
Right. Yep.
Or the sharp
cool.
9.
Sharp 9.
And then, you know, you're off to the races at this point. You can, you know, what if we double checked ourselves on it being a half diminished? F. Lower that 5th. No, you get the 5th and a G minor 7th is D.
G, yeah. So the D needs to be flatted, yeah.
That's right. Yep. And then notice that your flat 9 is right there, so maybe it sounds better to make that be a sharp 9. But you could also even use the root. I mean, you just start figuring out, and this is exactly note for note, same register, same amount of notes, everything that pianists do.
Mm.
These 3 note things are like the most because they're guide tones on the bottom with one other note on top. Sometimes the fifth, sometimes the 13th, sometimes the ninth.
Yeah. And again, that space.
Here's a fun one too. Instead of G minor seventh, move the fifth down to the 11th. It sounds like a C sus there. And then
Mm-hmm.
when you move up, you can move. There's your counterpoint. Yeah.
Yeah, a little contrary motion.
Yep. And remember, we've been limiting our melody notes to only the root so that we can start seeing down. But at this point, you can then change your melody notes to whatever you want. They could be the same pitch, right?
Right.
They could be the same pitch up here, the 11th.
Right. And then you could, yeah, one could be the 11, one could be the 5th.
It goes on and on and on. You know, you don't want to start preparing these too much because it's fun to improvise with them, but I guess you could write a song or pick a tune that allows you to use them like this one.
So if we were going here on E minor 7 to A7 flat 9, and there's the answer. So I could have gone.
Yep. That's what you did with the Lenny chord. You just do flat 9
Right.
instead of sharp 9.
But instead of the sharp 9, which I think is what was getting me, I really wanted to hear that flat 9. And I didn't think about doing this. So yeah, there you go.
Let me send you another quick invite, John. We're going to get cut off.